Howdy, my Wildmore friends. It's a brand new day. You can tell it's back to normal. Messy hair, same old clothes. Here we go. Like a good little girl, I grew up following the rules, but I never really fit in. Then I lost all I had, only to begin life again. So I ran away to the road, a tiny trailer in tow, and along the way discovered the truths I now know. So take a deep breath, grab a good cup of joe, 'cause this world it's a changin'. Inhale, here we go. I'm just flying by, yeah, I'm just flying by, away from them, and no one. So on the vlog last time, I kind of gave you a great big idea, and I'm going to flip back to something super practical today, but I want to talk about why the simple and the practical is so important. Because, you know, right now I'm listening to the state of the world, which is just overwhelming, but there's nothing I can do about that. What I can do is the very simple stuff, the day in and the day out. When you get stressed out about the big stuff, it's always good to just focus on simple things you can do across your day that will help calm you down. So I'm out here this morning making a water run before the wind kicks in, which officially it's just started. But I wanted to throw this question at you because, you know, as you know, I like to talk about the big picture stuff, but I also need to talk about the practical, because I think what you do in 24 hours is how you build your life. But here's a question that really I didn't ever think about until I started this journey. There's something on the roof. I don't own anything that's not broken and torn up. But the question, the two questions in my search for freedom, which is really what started all this, was what do I want to be responsible for, and how do I want to be responsible for it? And I say that because, as you can see, you know, I have to gather my water in a very manual way. It's about a half mile from where my little house is, and I have to fill up every few days. And so that's a lot of work. But the flip side is it doesn't cost me anything because it's well water. It's better for my health. And as long as there's electricity, I have water. So the shift is you can either do the work yourself, or you can pay for someone else to take care of that for you. The question that I struggle with is the vulnerability, because as long as I'm doing this stuff myself, then I feel like I'm much more in control and have much more freedom. When I am dependent on someone else to do it for me, with the price being I have to pay for it, then that raises a whole bunch of different questions. What do you want to be responsible for? Food, shelter, clothes, health, relationships, etc. And how do you want to be responsible for it? Do you want to do the work? Do you want someone else to do the work? Do you want to pay for it? Or do you want to go without? These are real questions. In the night air, as bright as the sun. We haven't seen snakes yet, but just in case. Together we will stand strong in spite of the pressure in this millennium. Do we belong? Now we're fighting on our own. I wanted to do just a quick overview of the best, or just some things to think about in a 4-season coat, whether it's a nomadic, a minimalist, or I gotta hit the road because the world's on fire kind of moment. And I've been through 5 winters now, and so it's been an evolution of learning and still exploring, but I wanted to just give you an update on some of the things that I've found. So the 2 coats I have here right now, this is that Cowboy Duster, which is a 16-ounce oilcloth canvas coat. And then this is, oh, my pocket knife. This is the more traditional coat. It's a down all-weather coat. Now the reason I got this is even this was bleeding water, so I didn't have any coats that actually protected me from the rain. I haven't been able to test this, but part of oilcloth is dipping it in wax and oil, or one or the other or both, which is to repel the water. And so I haven't gotten to test it yet, but so far everything else has been really good. Now the reason I want to show you these two things is in my thinking, I'm thinking about now, how can I block from wind, rain, cold, dirt, elements, and how is it going to last a long time? How much does it weigh? Is it practical? And can I use it for more than one season? So these are all the kinds of things I'm factoring into my decision. So things like leather, untreated cotton, nylon, anything that breaks down easily is off the list. Anything that can't repel water is off the list. Weight is an issue, but I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then how long, if you want it at the waist, below the hips, at the knee, or to the feet. And this was new, so I'm going to talk about that. So those are the things that I threw into this process while I was evaluating which coat I wanted to use. And what I found is I was surprised that this comes almost to my ankles. I actually really like it. It keeps me, it keeps the wind out, so I don't have to wear two pair of pants. And then the reason why I'm going to call this a 4-season coat, even though it's really technically 3, is because of all the different things I can do with it, which I'll show you in just a minute. The other coat is this down coat, which is basically my cow feeding coat now. It's so dirty. They're both dirty. But it's actually, I've had it about 15 years, but the reason I don't like it is, like I said before, it is, the water soaks through, but more importantly is I get overheated. And typically we think of, I want to be warm, I want a big warm coat, but the truth is when you're active, you heat up really fast. And so the goal is more to trap the heat than it is to make the coat have the coat keep you warm. And so that's why I'm going to show you this can be easily a 4-season coat. So the negative about this is, even though I haven't ripped it to shreds, it is the only coat I haven't ripped to shreds. It's only because pretty much the last few years all I use it for is feeding cows or just walking down the road. And if I was out on the road long term, or I wanted it to last me for 40 years, I don't think it would. So I don't like this coat, and that's why I'm not a fan of man-made materials. I'm a fan of natural materials. Leather tends to be too heavy. The nylon, while very lightweight, I don't believe is as durable. And the cotton, I actually got a 16 ounce. They come in 12 ounces. In fact, most of them are 12 ounce. This is a little bit heavier, but I wanted that for the longevity factor. And the other thing I really like about this is that you can reseal it. You can make the oil mixture with a combination, like I said, of oil, which is linseed oil, and beeswax. So you can use one, the other, or both. You can find those recipes online. Actually made it. It totally stinks. This coat is now several months old, and it's just now stinking up my trailer. It takes about a year, I've heard, to make it stop being so smelly. The other thing is you don't have to put this in the washing machine. I don't know if you can see this. The reason they called it a duster is that it keeps the dust off of you, because it's on my, close to my feet on the ground, and walking up and down these dirt roads, it's filthy. I haven't washed it yet, but my understanding is you just hose it off, let it dry, you're good to go. So the other thing I want to add about this coat is that right now it comes with the flannel lining, and I don't like this flannel lining. I don't like it because it catches on everything, and it also, I think, will make it too warm. It's not waterproof, so it doesn't really help me. I got it because I had to get it extra big, and I'm actually really glad I did, because now I can put lots of things under it. And the last thing is, I don't like the cape, and so my goal is going to be to convert this cape into a hood. I have found in wind and bad weather, the hood is better than a hat, and the reason is this part you can't keep warm, so the hood, the hood comes over. That's why I like the baseball cap. The baseball cap comes out, it gives me protection, and this keeps the wind and the weather out. The bad part about that is you can't hear. So in a safety situation, you would want to just wear a regular hat. So here is how I have kind of solved all these problems. This is what I'm going to use instead of just a regular the flannel liner. This is a $12 raincoat. It goes up underneath. It gives me a waterproof hood, and it also does a really good job of trapping extra heat. So when I wear wool or something very warm or very many layers underneath this, I'm very, very warm even on my -20 day. So this is what I'm using. So I'm not going to sew this liner in. I just use this as a coat because that's what it is. The other thing I did is usually you can buy a wool liner for these coats. They run about $100. This is a wool vest that I actually got for about $30. And then with a hood, and I actually added the fur hood, and I know that's not a good thing. I bought it as a scrap piece, so I think it was only about $10. And the thing that I love about this, which is why they do it in the cold north, is it actually keeps you much warmer, and it's great for blocking the wind. So I'm not into animal cruelty, but if it's just scrap or old, or you could actually buy an old fur collar from a thrift store, I like this a lot. And then the other thing I can do, there's two things. This is actually another wool vest that I paid a whole quarter for at a thrift store. So you can upgrade this. That's what I like, the shell. You can upgrade it very easily. So if I don't want the hood, or if I'm using just the liner, this is also very warm. And then I actually have a liner for a separate coat that's a long sleeve acrylic liner if I want to be really warm. So that's for today. Again, the question I really want to toss back at you is, if you want freedom, the real question is, what do you want to be responsible for, and how do you want to be responsible for it? That's why I like to think in terms of simplicity, because it makes things easier. So with that, I want to say thank you for spending time with me here on Survival Road. I want to add that there's a link in the video description below that will link you to a little booklet that I wrote that actually talks about all kinds of things if you need to just walk away. And so we will see you next time here at Survival Road.
You can't see me now. I'm miles above you. Don't care what they're seeing below, 'cause I'm miles above.